your first film is one of my all-time favorite films.
The one thing that made me nervous.
As a filmmaker, you think the Hitchcock influence always there?
I love satires, and it was a beautiful
Yeah,
satire.
Aziz Ansari or Bradley Cooper.
It was a beautiful era. Like I remember concretely in my head.
So, hi, Anshuman. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm starting this podcast mostly to just talk to people I really admire who've been in the world of dreams and making films in various capacities. Ironic part is your first film is one of my all-time favorite films, LSD. So, just going back to it, I just want to because that was a different world, 2010. I just want to
Sure.
any interesting like insights you have about the process of making that film, any memories you have or anything.
Thank you for having me. Lots of memories. First are always special because they only happen once, so they by
Yeah.
default leave a huge impact and imprint on you. And I'm very grateful. It was my dream actually. I had written it in a diary somewhere in 2008 after watching Oye Lucky that it's my dream to start
Right,
my acting career with Dibakar Banerjee. So it was
right,
literally a dream come true. Like I have that
right,
journal in
right.
which I have written. It was a very organic process how I got that film. To answer that part, I was doing a Girish Karnad play at that point called Bali, and I was rehearsing outside Prithvi Theatre in this rehearsal space. Where some cafes are now down, but the second and third
Right,
floor used to be rehearsal spaces. I
right.
was rehearsing the play on the third floor, and Atul Mongia, who was the casting director of LSD, was on the second floor auditioning for the film. So one day
Okay.
while going down,
Right,
I just happened to ask him that, um, can I test for it? And he said, sure, send some images at some email address he gave me. And I sent the pictures, and he never
mm,
responded, funnily.
okay.
So then after a week, I was again rehearsing and he was again auditioning. And I said, I had mailed you. He said, I never got an email. So I showed him
Mm,
where I sent it, and a dot had been missed in the email address.
wow,
So then I
wow.
resent the email, and then,
Right,
of course, they called me in. Then I did 3 rounds of tests. Then I got finalized. Then they had shortlisted because so many people had tested for that love
right,
story part. Then girls were shortlisted. Then I had to test with each girl to see chemistry and just, you
right,
know,
right, right.
now it was a dream. And then we workshopped for a month, Dibakar, the whole cast, me, Nusrat, Amit Sial, Raj, Arya, late Arya Banerjee, she's no more with us.
Right.
Um, so it was a very, very fun, fulfilling process. And I'm very grateful that I got to be a part of such a cult film because
Right.
it is a path breaking. It was India's first premiere digital film. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's how that happened. What was the second part to your question? Just remind me.
No, so just overall, what was that era of 2010, making films in that time when that
See,
film
I
came
had
out?
been I had
What was
been
it like?
assisting. I had been
Yeah,
assisting for about 7 years before that, and I was acting on
right,
stage. So I was primarily not taking up acting work because all the work I was getting was either parts which didn't excite me, or back in the day, the characters were not written as well as they are today for supporting
right,
parts. Just to be,
right,
So I was very clear. I'll start with my first film as something which is a little more central
right,
so that I'm not shortchanging myself because I had trained as an actor. I had worked for 7 years before that. So I think it's something I tell to all actors: you should know your worth so that you can
right,
choose accordingly, and that you only set your own worth. Times have,
right,
of course, changed. Now you can close your eyes and do something
right,
which is in central because the writers are getting encouraged and more stories from
right,
grassroots India, and not just grassroots India, just the writers are giving a little more freedom. So characters, also
right, right,
OTT is allowing for fleshed out paths across the board.
right.
So there's a lot more opportunity today versus say
Back
2010
then,
when
yeah,
um, when it was a lot more closed, if I can use that word.
okay,
But it had its own set of challenges back then and its own set of opportunities, which have kind of gone amiss now. I mean, sometimes I feel like, in terms of just, I don't feel a lot has changed, and then sometimes I feel a lot has changed.
exactly, yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah,
and to be honest, because it was a beautiful era. Like I remember concretely in my head, there was a year which had Mumbai Meri Jaan, A Wednesday, Dev D, and Oye Lucky Lucky Oye in the same year. I think it was
right,
2007, 7 or 8. I don't remember. But
right,
within a year, you had all these really interesting,
right,
fresh films which were not,
right.
you know, and they were not just
Yeah,
doing well at the box office, they were winning awards
yeah.
coming
Very
out.
unique
And
voices.
look, yeah, there was Phas Gaya Re Obama, I remember. Some very interesting
Yeah,
films came out in that period.
right,
And then, of course, LSD, and then Udan, and then Raj and DK made this film called Shore in the City, I remember. The whole new sort of wave of uh, doing indies, some under studio setups,
right,
some under independently, but
right,
middle of the ground films, I call them, which are
right,
high concept, new age, but they also have some amount of box office potential, so to speak. And that's also because the
right,
filmmakers had a very clear idea, all the films that we're talking about, who they are making it for.
right,
So I learned a lot, not just as an actor, as a student of cinema, because I knew at some point of time in my life I'll start producing. So uh, because I really believe cinema, while creatively is a director's medium, making a movie, the buck kind of stops on the producer because
yeah,
the producer identifies a script, knows how to mount it, how to put it. So I come from a school where I really believe good producers are the need of the hour. Unfortunately, in India, producers were looked upon as financiers. So I'm not talking about
right,
financiers. I'm talking
right,
about film producers.
right,
And and now we have a bunch of them. We have your Guneet
right.
Monga. So it's beautiful how the evolution is happening, and it takes its own time. It's been a decade and a half
Yeah,
since. In the next decade and a half, things will further change.
right.
Yeah,
In the 2010s, there were quite a lot of films which you did. Some of them worked well, some of them didn't work well.
sure,
But I have fond memories of Bakrapur. Like there were a lot of interesting concepts which were there. But what sort of
sure.
mindset did you have while selecting those films, and what was the learning which you took from those, or just the time in general from as an industry?
So, just to give you an example, when Chauranga came to me, Vikas Mishra's debut
Right,
film, he really, is somebody I look up to, I admire. He ended up writing
right,
my first film as a director. Back then, when I met him, I just fell in love with the world he was creating. The fact that the story was set
right,
on this cast, where a little boy wrote a love letter to an upper caste girl, and it led to
right,
what
right.
it led to. I
Yeah,
I got hooked to what the film was trying to speak about. So for me, the choices have always been twofold. One, does it push me as an actor? B, what is it saying in the larger context of things?
right,
Is it saying anything to begin with? Uh, for me, those things have always been challenging and attractive. And then, of course, the people. So whether when I did, say, Kismat Love Paisa Dilli was the second film I signed, to be honest. It was a filmmaker whose first film, Ek Chalis Ki Last Local, I had a DVD of,
yeah, yeah,
Sanjay
yeah.
Kanduri. While the film tanked and it turned out to be something that we didn't expect it to be, or that is never in your hand. For
Right.
me, it was about the opportunity to work with Sanjay Kanduri, whose first film, Ek Chalis Ki
Right.
Local, was something that I
It's a
always,
cult favorite
as a,
now. Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
And this film was actually originally titled Gyara Chalis Ki Last Metro, which then,
Oh, okay.
for commercial reasons, got changed to what it did.
Right.
But also, it was a great character. Like he was the first director who actually offered me a script saying, "I've written this with you in mind." Through the first half of the film, he's suppressed, 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 and then suddenly he
Right.
possesses these superpowers, and then
Mm.
he's biting people, hitting people, flying because his
Right.
scooter gets stolen, so to speak. Back then, also, I didn't have somebody whose umbrella I was under, whether it's a
Right.
casting director or an
Right.
agency. A lot of inroads for actors, it has to be what comes to you, and then you try to pick the best out of that. And for me, just the opportunity to work with a national award winner in Onir,
Right.
who produced Chauranga, or another national award winner,
Right.
Janaki Vishwanathan, who was making
Right.
her first Hindi film, Bakrapur. Bakrapur was a topic. The script just
Yeah.
took me the moment I read it.
Yeah.
Like it was, I love
Yeah.
satires, and it was a beautiful
Yeah.
satire about a goat.
Yeah. I just wanted to understand. You are one of the few people, if I can say that, who over almost 2 decades now, who's worked behind and in front of the camera, without, like you said, having some sort of an umbrella over him. Who's tried to different things and all. So the choice of doing something like a Mastram, for example. So, what would lead you to that choice, and what was the takeaway for you, and what how it helped you overall going forward?
Oh, it's a no-brainer. Again, the same two parameters. Number one is the script. So Mr. Sunil
Right,
Bora held the rights to his. He had made a film previously, and I
right,
had very little knowledge about the topic before I read the script. I read the
right.
script, and it's the perfect underdog story. A writer who reads Shakespeare and uh, writes novels and is forced to write erotica. And then
Yeah,
as I
yeah,
did more research, I realized everybody knows about him. And you know
yeah,
the hypocrisy of it really got to me, that nobody will talk about it in the open, but I'm talking about educated, your
yeah,
dad probably, my
yeah,
uncles, a lot of people
yeah,
had read it. You know,
yeah,
he was quite a cult in the 80s from what I. And number two was who's making it. Mr. Bora was coming off of
right,
Wasipur and Tanuved's
right,
Manu, so there was a producer.
right,
The only thing as an actor that I had to take a leap of faith was the intimacy. And I told him I have
right,
never done this, and for me process is larger than the end result. So for me the
right.
process, how are you planning to do it? Because in India nobody was there to. And he said,
Yeah,
I'm going to get you the best as the business. So Game of Thrones
right,
had just happened, and he said,
right,
I'm going to get Megan and um Amanda from Canada and Los
right,
Angeles to direct Intimacy. It was something that was unheard of in Bollywood. Like now,
right.
everybody I see on roundtables, everybody talking about it. But
Yeah.
they are all interns and assistants to Amanda who've done subsequently since
Okay.
2019.
Okay.
But Amanda and
Okay.
Megan were the first people to come down from the West to direct Intimacy
Mhm.
and give the industry a taste of what. See, it's intimacy is an art. Like you, it's like
Yeah.
choreography, dancing. You need a choreographer. When I do action, I need a trained action guy.
Right.
uh, so for me, these three things: the fact that it had a script which called out to me, um, it had a producer who was uh, coming off really solid legacy, and the fact that they were getting the best on the planet to do the one thing that made me nervous, you know.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
that's the funny thing. A lot of people don't pay attention to these finer details. I mean,
I think it
that's
changed the
that's.
OTT scene in a certain way in India, right? I think it came
I mean,
at a
it's the first. I
time.
don't know if there's a show now, but it was the first show that did 1,000 million views or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was a learning process for me. Just like with Lakadbagga,
Yeah.
I really got into action and learned the
Right.
details of what it takes. Or when I and that's what you look for as an actor, right? You look for as an actor to take you into uncomfortable places, and I am a very shy
Right.
person in reality. So for me to do it, it was the most extreme sort of jump for me,
Right.
and that's what
Yeah.
excited me, that if I can conquer this as an actor and be convincing, then obviously there is something that
Yeah.
is. And the moment I knew Amanda and Megan are on board, it was a no-brainer for me. I was like,
Right.
he's got the best people on the planet. Actually, they were coming off Magicians, Game of Thrones, so.
We have some references in the West of people like Aziz Ansari or Bradley Cooper. They started off as actors and then went behind
Sure.
the camera. So, what sort of
And my
drove you
favorite
to,
is Clint Eastwood. Like my
yeah,
Clint Eastwood is my
Clint
hero.
Eastwood?
Like
Right,
till I
right, right,
die, I want to be on a movie set. Like I always knew there's a pecking order because the way I live my life, I've never from the beginning been social or the conventional things that
right,
was said to be done to network and all that jazz. I never believed in that. I really did
right,
believe always, and I am walking the talk. So I'm just not saying this for effect. I
right,
believe that you can create your own
right,
path. So my focus is always on taking care of my body, mind, and spirit. And then whatever opportunities come my way, give it my all. So I don't do anything
right,
at 100%. I do everything at 200%. If I'm
right,
in, or I'm not in. So what
right.
happened was there were a bunch of scripts that I really wanted to get made,
Hmm.
and they were starting. A studio was taking it and
Right.
then shelving it. And Mona underscore Darling was one such film, Shashi Surigala's
Hmm.
film, and
Hmm.
he was wanting to make it with me since 2011, since LSD. And two big
Hmm.
studios had greenlit it and then cancelled it, and then it was a social media thriller. And then in
Hmm.
2014, a Hollywood film came called Friend Request, which was a very
Hmm.
different film, but thematically it was on social media. And I
Hmm.
told Shashi that if you had made this in 2011, when it was
Hmm.
greenlit, you would have been the first guy on the planet to make a film on
Right.
the ills or
There also, yeah.
social media. But anyway, I said we still have a chance because India में नहीं बनाया अभी तक, and अगर
Right.
but we were also scared कि 4 साल से script घूम रही है, and if we don't make it now,
Right.
somebody will, you know.
Else, yeah.
Uh, so that was the thing, and we didn't have the money. I didn't have the money. He didn't have the money. I told him I took 6 months off, and I just studied his scripts. I'm a fantastic assistant director to this date. And when I was an
Mm.
assistant, I'm very good at what I do as an AD. In fact, even now, I
Okay.
love being on set. That's how the journey started. I mean, we shot Mona in 2016. Vashu Bhagnani
Mm.
released it theatrically in 2017. It was on Amazon and Hotstar 3 months after
Mm.
that. And I realized that there is a way to do this if you're sincere towards the
Right.
film. You can't be thinking about box office and how much money will I make, and those things are
Mm.
all secondary. The first agenda has to be how do I make the best film and what am I willing to give. You have to
Right.
put you have to That's why I always say producers are important. You need to own your films. If you're doing independent
Right.
films, you need to be the owner of the chain of title, because then it puts you in a position of better bargaining power in the long run. Now,
Right.
2026, in 10 years, I have 6 films. Two will release now, two more, and then two more are
Mm.
in the pipeline. All these films are owned by my company. So I just need enough to help me continue doing the kind of cinema that I want to do.
Right.
And luckily, by God's grace, I found people who understood what I was trying to do.
Mm.
And they've supported me over the years, and I'm so grateful to them. And yeah, that's how producing began. And then when we were developing Lord Curzon Ki Haveli sometime in 2019, The Rope is one of my favorite films, and Vikas Mishra was writing
That's
it.
what I was
You
gonna,
know,
yeah, talk about it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So see, I'm an actor. That's my primary
Yeah.
game. That's what I'm gonna do. I will produce. I don't know how often I'll direct, but Lord happened completely by when we were on the writing table. I started telling Vikas, Arjun Mathur, this has to be Arjun Mathur. This cannot be anyone else
Right.
but Arjun Mathur. And I started saying
Right.
things like, this film will not get made if Arjun Mathur is not in the film. Rasika
Right.
Duggal. This is Rasika Duggal. If
Right.
Rasika Duggal doesn't say yes, Vikas will not make this film. Then at some point, I told him on the third draft that this film has to be shot on a single lens.
Mm.
When I did camera tests, I said either 35 or
Mm.
50, but full film has to be single
Mm.
lens. And
Right.
then on the fifth or sixth draft, Vikas just looked at me. And then I told him Beethoven, that this film will have a
Mm.
complete score. Let's go and rescore Beethoven's for release and Symphony
Right.
Number 5 and use that. And I think it was a sixth draft. And I remember the day when we were sitting in his house and he said, Anshuman, please don't talk to other directors, because I was meeting other
Mm.
directors and he said, just do it
Mm.
yourself. You've already decided how the film's to be shot, how the soundscape is going to be, who the cast is going to be. You've been an
Mm.
AD for so long. You love being on a movie set. Just do it. And I wasn't sure because I didn't want to direct at that time. But I said, if I have to do it, let's do it on this film because it's straight down my alley. It's very
Right.
theatrical. I had directed
Right.
plays. I had got actors who were willing to jump into a room with me for a month and workshop. And like I
Right.
said, that's what I enjoy. For me, the process is where the magic lies. And
Right.
I'm very grateful that Arjun, Rasika, Paresh, Zoha, Tanmay, everybody came on board.
Right.
We had a really good time creating that film. In terms of the workshopping process was very enriching for everyone. And yeah, that's how Lord happened.
Okay. So
And
as a filmmaker, you think was the Hitchcock influence always there, or especially like while making the film, writing the film, it really came to you very.
so it was not the influence affecting the choice of film. While the film
Right.
was getting developed on the writing table,
Right.
all the all the nuances of what Mr. Alfred
Right.
Hitchcock stood for started
Right.
it started appearing in the script, and I was like, come on, this is the film we pay a
Right.
homage to the great man.
Right.
He's the greatest filmmaker
Right.
according to me,
Right.
and
Right.
especially of the 20th century. I absolutely
Right.
love and savor every piece of film that he's done.
Mm.
I'm an absolute fanboy. So
Which is your
when
favorite Hitchcock film, by the way? Just
Oh, the rope,
right.
hands down.
Yeah.
Nothing comes close to the rope for me because I mean I know Psycho and Birds have their moments of
Yeah.
thrill, but just as a film, what he achieved, and it's that's the beauty of films. It's such a subjective medium.
So just as a filmmaker, right? You think what is like if you had to you're producing, directing to wannabe filmmakers, future filmmakers, people who want to become filmmakers. You think genre films is something which is a good stepping stone, or you think any suggestions you have, any learnings which you can share for people who want to start
I,
making films?
I don't think there is a formula. Like I said, I
Mhm.
think you should do what comes from here. What's your calling? Because each one of us has such a unique individual journey that our
Right,
emotional callings are varied, our talents are varied. Um, and that's why no two people can make the same film. Even if you give two
right,
people the same script, they will still make different
right.
films. And that's why you should not try to follow a trend. I'm a firm believer in that. You should do, even if it feels like it's the worst idea. In fact,
Hmm.
I am of the opinion that if somebody, when people tell me don't do it, it's too risky, there's a part of my brain that gets ignited that this is exactly
Right,
what needs to be done. Because
right.
the thing is, and forget films, I again go back to conditioning. We as a society have been conditioned to safety.
Hmm.
Fear has been drilled in our head. There is nothing to fear. What's the worst that can, I always say, what's the worst that can happen? So if something feels right to me and it feels like it should be done,
Okay, thank you so much, Anshuman, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I understand you're traveling from tomorrow, so you took out the time. I'm really thankful.
Yes,
Wish you
yes.
the
Thank you so
best
much.
for.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to Berlin. Lord Curzon Ki Haveli
Yeah.
and Lakad Bagga is playing there, part one. So we are trying to
Okay.
revive Lakad Bagga part one. We'll be re-releasing
Yeah.
it also before part two comes, and
Awesome.
then we'll start the
Okay.
campaign for part two. So if you've not seen
Okay.
Lakad Bagga, it's on Apple TV. Please watch it.
Yeah.
Lord Curzon is on Geo Hotstar. Please watch it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.